You're up to Daf Zion. We're up to the Mishnah. We concluded the argument, finished the argument of Yasi and Rebbe regarding the witnesses. They considered one pair or two pairs, or kibbeh, and so on. Says the Mishnah, Mi shenigmer dinoy. If somebody already, the Bezin handed down a verdict, ubarach, and then he fled. Then he came back, revisited that bezin. So the bezin already passed down a verdict, and he fled. He comes back, and he wants them to reopen the case, like appealing the case. Ein seisin as dinner. Bezin will not re-examine the case. He's found guilty, and that's it. Kol mokum. It sounds like from here, but if he goes to another, otherwise Bezin would have carried out the punishment straight away. Sounds like from here only because he revisited the same bezin. Had he gone to another bezin, maybe he can ask them to review the case. That's what it sounds like, as we'll soon see. Whenever you have two people coming forward, we testify about this person. That you should know that this particular person was found guilty in that bezin. And actually have to go further and say these were the witnesses. We will kill that person based on the testimony of these witnesses. And it sounds like it's not enough to say that he was found guilty of the bezin, but you have to go and tell us a bit more information. Sanhedrin, the concept of Sanhedrin is noiheges ba'aretz u'b'chutz la'aretz. The Sanhedrin of 23 judges is found not only in Eretz Yisrael, but also in Chutz la'aretz. Then the Gemara says, the famous part of the Mishnah, Sanhedrin ha'reges echad b'shvuah. If a Sanhedrin even kills once in 7 years, nikras chavlonis. They're considered, a bezin of executioners, even though they only killed one person in 7 years. One person in 70 years. The Gemara soon will explain what that means. If even they killed one person in 70 years, already is considered a bezin of chavlon. And Rav Tarfon of Kiva, Ilu Hayidu b'Sanhedrin, Leinerik Adam never will kill anyone. Rav Tarfon of Kiva, we understand, Rav Tarfon had a temper, and yet he said in a bezin he would not kill anyone, as we'll soon see. Rav Bag says, what do you think he gained by that? He's Avhein Mar bin Shayf Chedam Yisrael. If people know that the bezin will never find them guilty, all you're doing is loy achbar ganva l'chur ganva. You're inviting trouble because they think they can get away. Exactly. There's no nothing to prevent them or deterrence is gone. Exactly right. Okay. Says the Gemara. Lifnei oisei bezin who they say. It says that if somebody is found guilty in a bezin, but of Zayin Amud Aleph, to start the Mishnah, another Gemara, it says that if somebody was in a bezin and then he fled, and then he comes back to the same bezin, he wants them to review his case. They disregard it and they continue with their judgment. Sounds like if he's a bezin who they ain't seisin, only if it goes back to his own bezin. If he runs to another bezin, seisin, right? That they will reopen the case, revisit the trial. My problem is Atoni Sefer. It says in the end, Kol Mokum Sheyamdu Shnaim. If two witnesses come into another bezin, if two Eidim come to another bezin and they say, hey, that person was found guilty and these were the Eidim, why should the other bezin revisit the case and see if the first bezin passed him correctly? Amar Abaye, what's a fascinating thing? Loy kasha. Kan be'eretz Yisrael, kan b'chutz la'aretz. If you flee from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz la'aretz, we don't revisit the case. If you flee from Chutz la'aretz to Eretz Yisrael, the schus of Eretz Yisrael, just being in Eretz Yisrael, the schus of Eretz Yisrael might suddenly open the eyes of the Dayanim and see things differently, in a positive light. I guess in Eretz Yisrael, everybody sees things in a very optimistic, in a positive light. The schus of Eretz Yisrael. As the Gemara explains, the time of the Bryce Abudim just Borach me eretz the Chutz la'aretz. If he fled Eretz Yisrael and you go to Chutz la'aretz, and so the bezin will not revisit the case. But mechutz la'aretz, if you flee from Chutz la'aretz Eretz Yisrael, soisin eis dina, they will revisit the case. Why? The schus of Eretz Yisrael, and Rashi says maybe perhaps they will find some kind of opening, something positive about this person. Okay. Sanhedrin and Hegel, how do you know Sanhedrin Chutz as well? Tanam we learn, it says in Pasik, V'hoyu Eila Lachem L'chukas Mishpa, the following should be called Mishpa, the Seichem forevermore. B'choil Moshe Seichem, it says. In all your neighborhoods. So Lamad we learn out Sanhedrin Shana Hegel Ba'aretz and Chutz Laretz. We learn out that Sanhedrin is in Eretz Yisrael and in Chutz Laretz. In fact, we learn that from the word B'chol Moshe Seichem. So now gives the Gemara admits that. So how come it says Shayfni b'Shayfni b'Chol Sharecha? It sounds like only in Eretz Yisrael. B'Sharecha to Moshe Batadinim b'Chol Pelach Pelach Leviyit. In Eretz Yisrael, every large area and every local city. B'Chutz La'aretz at the Moshe b'Chol Pelach only in the large metropolis and be at the Moshe b'Chol Leviyit, but not in every well, promise it, but not in every city. You don't need in every city. It's the only difference. So how would Rabbi Akiva? So head on it, I guess Iboilu when Rabbi Yeshua says once in 70 years, Achas l'shivim shana nikras chavlonis. Did they mean to say that even if you kill once in 70 years, the bezin is called chavlonis? Dilma urcha ari, or means once in 70 years, that's all right. But for more than that, teiku remains the question. You have to wonder, minaf kamina, and if you call it bezin chavlonis, minaf kamina that as well. Well, that's what it is. Okay, good. Um, the truth of the matter is, the Gemara is pretty easy to understand because the only way you get killed is if you give the guy hasra, and you spell out exactly what the ultimate reward of a punishment is going to be, the kind of mitzvah it will be, and you have two agents standing there. You have to be really, really crazy to go ahead and still do it. But if you waited a while and did it, you say that you forgot. It has to be taken to dibur. So the chances of it happening are very, very slim. How would they? What do you mean? If two ain't come to court and say, "Room killed Shimon," we don't have for them say we wouldn't kill anybody. What does that mean? But there's justice. Hey, what would they do? No, they would do something. They would use the tools that Bezin has to somehow or another throw the case out. How would they do that? Hey, what would they do? They would say to the Adim, okay, you say Reuben killed Shimon. Tell me, the Isim today for Harag or the Shalom Harag? That person, that victim. That victim, Reuven, was Reuven. Reuven killed Shimon. Shimon, was he already a treifa? Somebody wouldn't have survived 12 months, so therefore the din is not chayiv misa. Or was he a healthy person? Was he a healthy person? And or even if they respond somehow, he was a healthy person. The next question would be Dilma b'makom sayif nekev haba. Maybe right there where you stabbed him, there was a puncture there. In other words, how do you know he wasn't a treifa? Just because you examined him afterward doesn't prove he wasn't a treifa. doesn't make yeah. So the Gemara. So therefore, that's how they would go around and ask questions. So Taisa asked, but we'll have a Gemara Chul Daf where it talks about the concept of Roiv, the concept of Chazak, and the Gemara exactly talks about that case. Every time it was a murder trial, how do you know that person wasn't a treifa? And we will say we go after the Roiv. From here you learn out actually, when the Gemara gives a number of possibility, you learn out the concept of Roiv, you learn out from there, concept of Roiv. So what are you saying here? The Dilma treifa Hara. But we learn out the concept of Roiv. So he says like this. Rabbi Tam says something which is very interesting. Taisa says it doesn't make sense. Rabbi Tam says, of course we're not choishes the guy with a treifa, but we're going to ask the Adim, was he a treifa or not? And if they say we don't know, which is what they're going to say, how do they know? They checked it. They said we don't know. Probably we don't know. You don't know. We're about to read this. So Taisa says it doesn't make sense. If we don't ask, that means we assume that they're treif. So because they say they don't know, what changed? What changed? Look at the Taisa says the Lashon of Taisa on Rabbeinu Tam. Now remember, Rabbeinu Tam, the Mashal writes, the Rivash writes. Rabbeinu Tam was the biggest genius ever in history, and the Mashal writes like Dom and Chulin or Babatala that Rabbeinu Tam was greater than the Rambam by miles, and Taisa says it doesn't make sense. Many times you should make the time he says a few times. You ask them, and so on and so forth. Anyway, let's go back to just interesting. So Tracy concludes, it doesn't mean we'll never kill anybody. It means we'll do everything possible not to kill them, and the chances of it being killed are very, very slim because we're going to ask so many questions. Surely they're going to contradict each other in their questions. That's what he means to say. You just give me an example. Then they want to ask further, okay, that's by murder. What about Boyle Sarva? So when you come in and say that, that Reuben, whatever, with incest and so on. Hey, or rape somebody. What are you going to do here? What kind of questions? The isem you actually see like that the powder thing that you put a little thing through the tube, and through the eye hole. Did you see them commit the act, or you just saw them go into the room and you make an assumption? So that's how they would get out of it. But who they don't see, how do we tackle the judge ever rule against a boils ever? We see them behave in a way of lust, and then they go into a room, we can assume whatever happened afterwards. Taste asked an interesting question. Okay, what about, let's say, someone Mechal Shabbos? What questions can you ask there? They saw the guy be Mechal Shabbos. They don't trade for anything else. So Taka says, the chances of somebody being Mechal Shabbos after being warned are next to nothing. The problem that happen most, that the guy gets so angry, he hates the other person, wants to murder him, even though he's being warned, he can't control his anger. Or in case of ever, you can't control your passion. But other things, like Chil Shabbos and other things, we're going to assume that people are going to are going to step back and say, okay, I'm not going to do it. That's what the talking about is. Hadnalach Kate to the agent. Next paragraph. The following people go to Golos. Before that, you have Ari Miklas. Ari Miklas is only if you did it inadvertently b'shegig. If you did it b'mezid or karav l'mezid, just we don't have the witnesses to prove it, then the Ari Miklas is not going to protect you. In fact, the Goyal Adam can kill you whenever he wants. In fact, the Goyal Adam is permitted to enter the Ari Miklas and kill you in the Ari Miklas. So it's very important to know whether you consider a karav l'mezid or whether you're a shegig, or the other extreme is it was an accident. The Karvel Oinus. Karvel Oinus, no one has a right to kill you, and you're scot free. So it says the Mishnah. The following go to Golas. And the general rule is, if you kill someone while you're going down, you should have been a bit more careful. So it's like a shagig. You could have avoided it. But if while you're walking up, suddenly something happened and you fell down, you tripped. So that is an accident. An accident is Karvel Oinus, and we say that you don't go to Golas, nothing happened. So the Mishnah just now gives us three examples. If I'm going to go as a hiding, if he kills someone by mistake, for example, so according to Rashi, the roofs, they try to make it a little bit of a slope so that the rain should go down. According to Tasis, they try to make the roof flat. Anyway, so you had this plane, this tool, the plane, that you were trying to smooth it out, and you were going away from you. The Nuffler was pushing it out, the Nuffler, and then so it sort of fell down and hit somebody, although not going to kill somebody. Or you were lowering a barrel, the nafla and the barrel fell down. If the rope tore, there's a machlekes later that's considered an accident or not. So the barrel fell down. Again, you killed it. And Tesa explains. So this one here, you definitely took a bit more precautions than the ma'agel. Your ma'agel, you're pushing out and it fell down. But in the case of the chavis, when it's lowering down, you're very careful because you don't want the chavis to fall down and break. You're going to suffer a financial loss. And nevertheless, we say it's a shagig. You could have avoided it. In the last one that you were going down the ladder, and you fell down. Surely you were very careful. You don't want to fall down and hurt yourself. But nevertheless, since it happened while you're going down, obviously you weren't careful enough. All these cases consider shagig. You were drawing back to yourself. The nafla, that's mamish an accident. Or Allah of the haraka killed him. You were lifting a barrel. The nipsik achevel and the rope tore. The nafla fell on him. But actually killed somebody. Again, you were lifting. This is mamish an accident. You were climbing up a ladder, but you fell on him. In all these cases, you killed him. In all these cases, you don't go to Golas. We treat this like an accident. It's almost like an oinus, and therefore you don't go to Golas. And the Goyal Adam has absolutely no right to kill you. That cloud. Now the Mishnah gives us a rule, which the Gemara will want to know what it comes to add. If it's on the way down, go to Golas. You could have avoided it. Slight negligence. If it happened not while you're going down, which would also include if it's on a level thing, like Teresa says, it was you weren't making a slope. Teresa, the roof was level. You were just making sure it's level, so there was no slope. but it's not derech iridasai. It's considered an accident. Ain't a girl. Says the first woman, how do you know that this distinction between going down and going up? Actually, it's a Ferisha pasuk. It says in the pasuk that v'nafal. It says in the pasuk v'yapel olav. He fell on him. Yama said he died. Right? It says that you killed someone without seeing, and Yabi fell on him. It has to fall down on the person. So it's a gzeres hakosuf. Somebody trying to give some logic to it that when you're going down, you're not as you could be more careful. You could have done more because you can see what's going on. So you could have done a bit more, to make sure it doesn't happen. When you're going up, you don't see what's happening. So we learned. It says a pasuk b'shgogam that who should run over there? That's just miklet. Somebody killed b'shegig. Prat lemezit. If you did deliberately, you don't go there. Then it says the pasuk bivli das without realizing it is what does that come tell you? Prat lemeskaven. If you had intention, if you had what does that mean different than mezit? We'll soon see. So the first one said mezit pshita. Of course, if you kill, it says in the pasuk that what bishgoga, and you tell me to tell you not mezit. Of course, mezit you don't go to miklut. Bak tola will actually kill you. You're right. We're talking about over here the shegig, but not if you say oimer mutter. You say that I thought I'm allowed to kill this person. I thought the behavior of this person or the way this person did whatever he did, I have a right to kill him. That's what I thought. Oimer mutter is not a shegig. So what are you? You can learn two ways. Oimer mutter. Oimer mutter can be an accident. It's not his fault. He thought it was mutter. I'm a mutter can mean that no, it's so much amazing. Ignorance is not an excuse. So machlek the Bible brother. Amalei bayir mutter anusu. I'm a mutter is an einus. And Taisus brings down, even though in the Gemara Shabbos we learn the seven peg there that if tinik shenishba, they don't know any better. That mamash I'm a mutter, they don't know. Yet they have to bring a carbon because they fall under the category of shegi. But over here you have an extra word shegi. This word bishgaga is extra. We have a few times in Taisus shgaga. Maybe to tell you that this case, Oimer Mutter is an Einus. That's a Baya. Or Malay, so Rabbi disagrees. Anium, I say, Oimer Mutter, call him Mazer. Others says, it's Mazid. And then after many years, if a girl down, they're allowed to kill you or not. Mazid, call him Mazid, kill. Einus, no way. Then the Pasuk says, Bivli das, without being aware, Pratna Miskavin. Like you said, it comes to exclude intention. What do you mean? Miskavin, Pshita Baktolos, he intended to kill. Omar Rabba, no. Prat l'miskav, the chiddush is, let's say he intended lahareg es habehema, he intended to kill an animal. For that you don't get killed for v'hareg zodom. But you already had an intention to. So this we're going to treat it as a karal amazing. This is not an accident. You wanted to kill. Now, you won't get penalized for what you did, and you weren't careful enough. You killed a person. Or the kusi, you want to kill the kusi. Those people are kusi. No, not that you're allowed to kill a kusi, but you don't get capital punishment for that. But how do you kill the yid? The nafel, a stillborn, a baby that won't survive 30 days. But how did Ben Kayam, he killed the wrong one. Doesn't say you want to kill a yid and kill another yid. We had a machlekes, whether in that case, we had a machlekes in Tanaim, if you want to kill one yid and kill another yid, whether you potter or you chayiv. So I learned. It says another pasuk, even Pesach, suddenly, prat, the cannons of a corner. What do you mean by corner? A corner there's two ways of learning to show you. One way is in a corner, you're sort of negligent. You're walking with an open knife, and you're walking in a corner, and you know you can't see what's behind the corner, and another guy walks right into it. That's mamish karav l'mezid. Others learned the other way around. The person coming around the corner saw you before you saw them. They should have stopped, and they continue walking right into your knife. That's karav l'einus. Not they're arguing, just on pshat. Even Pesach suddenly, probably kind of believer. There's no enmity there. Prat the sign. If you hate him, then you don't go to Golis because we assume that it's done deliberately. Hadafa, you pushed him. Shedochvei begufay, that you pushed him with your body without intention. And you're still chayiv. You would have thought that with your body, maybe you're not chayiv, you're still chayiv. You threw on him. In other words, till now we learned that if you were going down, Yerida, the thing is that that's when you chayiv goes. What about if you do a Yerida Tzarech? You lower the axe in order to pick it up. So even though you're going down, your intention is to go up. Do we say it's already considered as if you're doing aliyah? We say no. To include a Yerida Tzarech Aliyah, that just consider golus. Yeah. Um, Beloy tzedia. Normally, tzedia means without ambush. In other words, you didn't plan it. We're going to attach tzedia from the word tzad, the side. Beloy tzedia pratam is kavan tzadeh b'hochol tzadacha. You intended to throw, let's say, a rock in this direction. It went flying in another side of the street and killed somebody. Va'asha loy tzeda says again that you did not intend no ambush and we're going to dash it again side. Pratam is kavan this time is agaba. You wanted to throw 2 amas and then I'm going 4 amas. And the Rashi has two gesois. You want to throw it 4 amas and landed 2 amas. And others say no, 4 amas. Our gear says 4 amas and it went 8 amas. Same idea. But if it's four going to 8, what's the chiddush? Isn't it the same thing as two? You wanted 2 and it ended up going 4. Or then, or Rashi says same thing applies if you wanted to fly 4 and ended up going 8. What's Rashi? Why would that be any different than 2 going to 4? No, what's Rashi adding here? So others if I learn, and the same thing be I wanted to throw 4, now the 4 includes 2, but because I didn't want it to land it after 2 amas, I wanted to land after 4 amas, and it landed after 2 amas. You're also potter because I didn't carry out my thought. So first of all, yeah, you ended you met you counted your friend in the forest. My Yarishuslan is a forest is free for all. Lechon is l'sham, and he killed someone by mistake. You have to go to Golis. But if it's my private property and I killed by mistake, I don't have to go to Golis. What happens? You were going up a ladder, interesting question, Vinishmet, and the one of the steps, the rungs of the ladder came crashing down. Hashliva metachta v'nafla came crashing down and killed someone. V'harga. Mao, how do we view then? Do we look at the person? The person is going up, so he should be potter. Or do we look at the thing that caused the death, which was the rung of the ladder, and that was going down? How do we view that? How do we view that? Is it going up or down? Didn't we learn the Braisa before that this is I know your question, but I think this falls under the category of a yerida. I don't care. Ultimately, it's sort of you ultimately is helping you go up. The fact is that this rung was being pushed down and fell down. Therefore, it's considered a yerida going down, and you are chayiv golos. Esrei. Yeah, I see. Rabbi Hu asked a question. Look in the Mishnah. The Mishnah, after giving all the examples, adds a rule. So I call this a rule. The rule is as follows: if you were going down, you go to Golish. If you're not going down, you don't go to Golish. He already gave us all the examples. What's the Mishnah adding? To tell you that this is not called derechidasa because it says ultimately I want to go back. I'm going up. Actually, I am going up. Just because the rung, pushed down and fell down, I should be potter. This is not derech yiridosei. So Rabbi Yechon asks back, the time if you're going to make this deal, this inference in the Mishnah, what about the words kol shebederech yiridosei lasima? What's that cover to teach you? If it's a normal way, what's it adding? You already gave us the example of going down. Elo lasuya, the Mishnah talking about to include cuts of a butcher. Now, a butcher, Hochanami Lasui Katsu. Now, we're going to bring a number of brises, 4 brises that contradict each other. We're going to explain. So, there's a number of movements by a butcher. Butcher has a knife and he needs to cut up the big slabs of meat. He needs power. So, first, he takes the knife and goes down. That's down Lefun of Yerida. In order to go up, which is Aliyah to go up, and then he puts it behind his back. That's another Yerida going back. Then it goes up on his back. That's another Aliyah. And then he finally gives that final whack, and he cuts up the meat. He dissects the meat. So depending, so there are 4 general brises, and we're going to explain each one talking about different movements of the cuts up. And the same thing with this Mishnah here. What's the story? It says here. The time we learn one brayse we learn katzev. We learn a brayse about butchers who were cutting the meat. One place we learn chayiv. If you did in front of them, you chayiv la'achar potter. One place says in front of you you chayiv, but behind you you potter. We'll soon explain that. Behind you, you're chayiv in front of your potter. And again, all depend on whether you're going up or you're going down. Even though ultimately you're going down in order to go up. Nevertheless, we treat it as if you're going down. But then the third brayse, you learn bein the chayiv, you always chayiv. But then you learn the fourth brayse, you always potter. Well, cash is not a problem. Can be the fun of. Let's go through each brayse. If you go first, you go down. Right, you're going down in order to lift this particular axe or knife. So the yirida shalafan of that is chayv golos. The aliyah, and then you go up. Even though we call it shalachrav, your intention is to put it behind your back, but you're going in front of you. The aliyah shalachrav, you're going up. So there you're potter. Next brayse, Can be'aliyah shalafanav, so you're going up in front of you, right? So therefore, for that you are potter. But if you need the shalacha, then you're going and putting it behind your back to go down. Okay, so that's chayiv golus if you kill somebody. Next, can be either shalafanav v'shalacha. The next one's talking about going down either the back or in the front. You're always chayiv. And the next one says you always potter. Can be'aliyah shalafanav shalacha, going up either in front or in the back. Says the Gemara, let us actually say it's an argument of Tanoim. This question of Abu and Rabbi Yochanan is an argument tonight. It says, you're walking up a ladder, and the rung fell down. Tani chad, one brayz learned chayiv. But Tani, the one brayz learned potter. No, the one brayz that seems to learn that you look at the person, he was going up, so you potter. The other one says, look at the rung, and you're going down. My lab, how can you argue? Masa, you need to hear Masa Ali. Like Masa Ali, no. Kuli Alma, everyone hold maybe Aliyah. You're going up, and still one brayz says chayiv. Why? You're going up. Lakasha. Can legolos. I can say that the first brayz is talking about damage. When it comes to damage, we don't care up and down. We don't care if it's your fault. You're always responsible. Makes no difference. The other one is golos. Golos will say you're not responsible because you're going up, like our bavu's question. Or you boys say, I can tell you that they're both talking about the golos. Like kasha. If the rung already was over me, so the rung already was sort of falling down. So then when you put your foot there, as soon as you put foot there, before even you started to go up already, it started to crack and go downwards. So therefore it's considered going down and you chayv. The other one is that it was no worms. It was pretty steadfast. And you were going up. So as you were putting pressure to go up, it forced it to go down. That's called going up. And you are potter. Or the same idea. How do we know worms? But like kasha, how it was tight. It was stiff. So the only thing is, as you were going up, you were pushing down. It was the weight of going up that caused it to go down. That's called going up. And you put it. It wasn't tight. So as soon as you put your foot there, even before you were going up already, you started to push it down. And therefore you are considered going down and you're chayv golus. Now we have an interesting argument between Rebbe and the Chachamim. The pasuk says you were going out in the forest and you had an axe and you go ahead and you start chopping down this tree, and something goes flying and hits a person in vertically. Your chayiv is b'shayga. You go to Arim Miklat. Now the question is, what went flying? The metal part of the axe itself, the blade of the axe, or you chopped the wood and a chip of wood went flying. Now, if you say it's the blade of the axe, because that's directly my hand and I'm responsible, but the chip of wood, I'm more like a grumba. It's only my koyach. I mean, I'm a cause, and then I wouldn't be chayiv. Or no. Or do we say that the chip of the tree, you're chayiv as well? It's not considered a cause. That's directly what you were hitting. Says in Mishnah, Nishmar Abazal, the axe, the blade fell, this disengaged from the actual handle, Baharik, and it killed someone. Rebbe says, ain't a goyla. For that, you don't go to golas. The Chachamim say goyla. The Chachamim say, no, that is because of an axe and you go to golas. What about mina eitzam is bakeya? What about if the chip of the tree went flying and hit somebody and killed them? Rebbe, I'm a goyla. That's it. You're goyla. Chachamim say, no, then you're in a goyla. Why? Because it's only your koyach. You're only a cause. It wasn't you directly. Says the Gemara, Tanya, does it say the pasuk? Look at the writing of the pasuk. The noshal basil, that basil hit the tree. Does it say something? Noshal basil meitze. Does it say that the blade moved away from the as we'll still see, does it say the nishal habazel mina? Does it say that? It says it doesn't say the noshal habazel meitze. It says min ha'etz. Sounds like it caused the tree. Eitz is a tree, and it sounds like it caused a chip from the tree to go flying. Well, number one, no, never eitz lemat. No, at the beginning of the pasuk it says he went to the forest lachtev eitzim to chop. What does eitzim there mean? Trees. And then it says over here noshal basil mina eitz. We're talking about the same tree. So we're talking about that. What happened that the basil caused a piece of the tree to go flying? Just like the tree over there. It's talking about from the tree hamis bakeya. That we're talking about the tree itself. We're talking about part of the tree went flying, not the axe. The axe might be considered really like a mazid, cover the mazid. They both dash in the same pasuk. The noshal habazel mina eitz Rebbe sava yesh ein lemesedus. Look at the way it's written. The nishal. Even though we read it the noshal, we read it the nishal. The nishal means it caused something else to go flying. And they would cause the tree to go flying. And the Rabban hold yesh ein lemikra. It says the noshal that it went flying. Karinan. The Rebbe Yesh Ein L'Seides. Says, when does Rebbe hold Yesh Ein L'Seides? We had in the Sanhedrin of Dalad all the different opinions about Yesh Ein L'Seides, Yesh Ein L'Mikra. V'Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yeshe Rabbi Yechanan, Rebbe, Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz, and Beis Shammai, and Rabbi Shimon. Yesh Ein L'Mikra. Rebbe actually holds Yesh Ein L'Mikra. Says, well, you're right. Hein L'Kamli V'Oid. Therefore, he gives V'Oid, as if to say, normally I hold Yesh Ein L'Mikra, but because I have this thing of eights and eights, in this case, I'll do the Mercedes. But just finish your mother. Amar Papa Papa. Man the pisa ledikli. You pick up a clump of clay and you throw it on a palm tree. Tamre, and the dates fall down. Tamre and the dates that fell down killed. In other words, what happened? I didn't throw something, kill somebody. I threw something on the date, and the date came crashing down and killed somebody, which is exactly to taking an axe, and the piece of the axe went flying and hit the date and fell down. So according to Chachamim, we said before, since you didn't directly do that, you didn't stand in and cut the date off and fell down and killed somebody. That what the metal went flying in and hit the date, you're potter, because only a cause is only a koyach. In this case, you'd be potter. According to Rebbe, who says that even though I didn't directly hit the thing, but the metal went off separated from the handle, went flying and hit the tree, and the chip went flying, and Yechayiv, same thing here, hit the date, and the date went flying, Yechayiv. So same thing. It's exactly the same thing. No, I would have thought this is a bit more distance. I picked up the earth and I threw the earth on the date. So when I threw the earth on the date, the earth was no longer in my hand. The earth is no longer in my hand. Here by the tree, I'm holding the axe and I hit the tree. And then the chip of wood went flying. So that's only one koyach. But over here, because the dirt left my hand, that itself is a koyach. And then hit the date, and that's a koyach koyach. A double koyach, then maybe would hold that you're not, that also it's considered, less than a shege, it's like an accident, and you pot it. How do you find a case according to Rebbe koyach koyach? Okay, going to shod the piece, you threw a piece of clay, you threw a piece, legarma, and it hit a twig. Then the twig went flying and hit a cluster of grapes. And that hit dates, and then dates went not grapes. You hit a cluster of dates, and then the dates went flying. So it was 2 steps away. So you went and you threw a lump of dirt on a twig. The twig then, so it wasn't the dirt that hit the dates. You hit the twig. That's step 1. Then the twig went flying and hit the dates. That's step 2. And then the dates came down. That's koyach koyach. That's already 2 steps away. And Eddie would be made. You're not a shaggy. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Mitzvah Shem.